Hi, my name is Jill. This is Road Culture Rules. Freedom's getting excited. And we're really talking more about the inner journey these days than the outer one, although to be nomadic on the inside is just as important. And I'm not even sure how to do this, but we're going to call this one the worst relationship advice ever, because for some reason we keep talking about relationships, even though technically I think we're supposed to be talking about love. But before we do that, we're going to take a deep breath, hold for 4, exhale, and see you on the other side. So the reason I'm calling this the worst relationship advice ever is because I am probably the least competent person to talk about relationships, at least romantic ones, ever. I know I made a video a while ago about having a solo RV kind of lifestyle and having a relationship, and then I made a video about some advice, in theory, but the reality is I completely suck at having romantic relationships. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is that, the last video we talked about, what can one woman do in terms of love and appreciation for good men? How can we help heal the man-boy kind of crisis that's happening? And so, I think women have to be a part of that. But I see, from comments and from other things, and I think the romantic piece is where a lot of us are really have hurt feelings. And I feel very hypocritical trying to have a conversation about that because I'm terrible. And one of the things I wanted to point out is the reason I can come and talk to you about a lot of these subjects is because at a personal level, I've been a complete disaster, right? Totally acting out or whatever over the course of my lifetime, and then come back and be able to rehash it and present it in a calm and hopefully effective manner. But it wasn't happening like that at the time. I've just been terrible at romantic relationships. And now I think I've morphed into this place where I don't even know how to do it anymore because I have all this other kind of love feeling. And when it gets directed at one person, I think it might be uncomfortable. Only the dog has been the laser focus of my overwhelming feelings that I have inside, just that are general. And so the reason I wanted to I wanted to bring this up is that, romance is really important when we're young because we're supposed to have babies and, we want to be attracted to each other so the species can survive. And once the kids are raised and out of the house, it really creates all kinds of new dynamics. And, I remember, I think I was in my 20s, I remember somebody telling me who'd done a lot of traveling around the world. He says, she said, there are no cultures in the rest of the world hardly where men and women spend hardly any time together other than just for the business of raising the family. The women hang out with the women and the men hang out with the men. And so I know there's like this deep need to be connected in a romantic relationship, but I think there's also this deep problem in that we don't totally understand each other, and it's very difficult to know what the other person wants. And and this is the question I've had, are we trying to get too much from the other person that they're really unable to give? And I don't have the answer to that, but I wanted to start broaching the subject because I think it makes it very difficult to have male and female interaction if there's attraction there. Yet, if we need to create new systems that men and women need to both be part of, how do we balance that out? And I still think, the most important work right now is to balance the love and the strength, which is the masculine and the feminine within us. And as we balance that out within ourselves, we will be more comfortable with people who are more balanced within themselves. So I think that's a great long-term abstract direction that all this is going. But in the meantime, at a very practical level, I can see how this is an issue because, like I said, at a practical level, we don't need to be in relationships once the children are raised. People are happier connected. They're less happy disconnected. All the studies show that. Even introverted, solitary people need some kind of connection. But I often wonder if, especially in Western culture, if we've got so much emphasis on the romantic part of the relationship, that we have created a destined to fail situation. Because if you look at your grandparents and, back, people just got married and then they just stuck it out. There wasn't all this looking for the next best person. And, since the online version, it's now, swipe looking for that next person. And if you talk to older people, you'll hear them say it's not all magic and roses. There are exceptions to the rule, I will tell you that. But for the most people, it's just a commitment to hang in there and move through everything together regardless. And so, I wanted to bring that up because I think this is part of the conversation that we all need to start having with ourselves is, do we wait for the perfect person? Do we just find somebody that makes good sense and commit to the process? Does it not make sense at all? Should we be building communities based on shared values and goals and not worry about the romantic part? But it always kind of pops up, I think, when you're in close proximity to each other. I have zero answers or solutions, but I wanted to broach this as a topic because I think it's still, even though we tell ourselves we don't want to be romantically involved, it's still sort of simmering under the surface there. And I know I keep telling you I don't want to, and it's almost like I can't because I'm just so bad at it. And people always think they will be different, and they never are. And I create a much more stable existence, which really serves my higher purpose of the internal work and the spiritual work that I'm more committed to, I think, when the chips are down. So this isn't really just about me. This is about asking us all the question is, are we looking at romance in a way that we're trying to make it too focused? In the meantime, we're isolating ourselves, or should we really be focused on trying to create communities and groups based around what's valuable to us? Because, I don't know about you, but there's certain men that I can be friends with, and there's just nothing there, and there's nothing there for them, and that makes it really easy. And then there's other times where it's just such a struggle because there's this constant negotiation for power, and it's aggravating. So I have zero answers or solutions. But I thought it was important to bring that up because again, these are just little tiny videos, one conversation at a time, something to think about. And for those of you who've been married a long time, it's probably helpful if you remind everybody in the comments that it's not all magical and easy. And it really is just a commitment to kind of stick it out. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves as if that's something that we really want. I think that's sort of the last piece I wanted to touch base. And I've been noticing that in some of the movies and stuff that, over the last whatever, is that not everybody wants to be in a relationship. Some people are very committed to their job or to their work that's just not conducive. I've thought that I was saying that because I was watching something about military, and they were talking about 15-month deployments, and I'm thinking, God, if somebody's gone 15 months, they come back for a few weeks and they go back out for another 15 months. Is that even a relationship? I mean, that's really hard. And so I think we have to be more honest with ourselves about how we can create connection and community, and maybe take some of the focus off of the romantic part. That's still, I think, important. I think we're happier when we feel deeply connected to somebody, but I hate to see us also isolated, kind of waiting around for that to happen. So before we go, we're going to take one more deep breath for the road, as I hope you will rise with the sun in your eyes, love in your heart regardless, both feet firmly on the ground as together we walk on survival road, one step at a time. I think we need more love. We're going to talk more about that, but in the meantime, maybe we need to sort out this romantic part in our head before we figure out what we want to do. I don't know, just a thought. So live free and die wild, my friend, because I will see you next time.